Hey, it's Bronwyn here. We have some technical difficulties that we are going to work out tonight. I made a glitch when sending my exciting guest um, a link for the show. So I am going to resend it and then we're going to breathe because I am going to need some breaths right about now. So let me send that to her. I popped in, I thought everything was right. But we're going to make this happen. Tonight, we are going to talk with a cancer survivor and thriver. And she's an amazing woman. So I definitely want you to hear her story. So as I'm talking, I am sending the link to her one more time and we'll get started. Give me just a second. Let me let her know I just sent it. From the last email. Well, if you've been here before, you know we try to breathe our way through. So we're going to take some deep breaths, and I'm going to take some deep breaths and pray that this just works its way through. Not quite sure why it's not, but let's take our deep breaths in. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. One more. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Just that time to woosah, breathe our way through. And as I'm breathing my way through, I'm going to pop off for just a second and check with my guest and see what's going on. I'm still talking to the audience. So, not quite sure. Right. Well, hello, audience. Once again, let me tell you, I have my guest on, and something happened. We were on. Let me check every possible thing. Here she is.
Hello. Hi.
She's here. We made it happen. Prayer is a powerful thing because I know we both were praying that it would
Yes.
work out.
Yes.
Yes. So I have my amazing guest, Lakeisha Parker. And Lakeisha, I'm so glad that you have perseverance and stick to itiveness, and you're like, we're gonna make this happen. So
That's right.
I'm so glad you're here tonight.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I always ask my guests to tell us who you are and something cool about yourself. So
I
tell us something cool.
okay. I am Lakeisha Parker. I am a honey, and that is the title that I love to wear the most to a 8-year-old granddaughter. Something cool about myself. I had the opportunity to be interviewed by PBS's magazine, The News Hour, and we were discussing something very similar to what we're going to talk about now, the state of healthcare in America. So I thought that was cool.
That is cool. And the state of healthcare in America is not a pretty thing. And as we talk, we'll see how that even might have even impacted your journey. We'll get to that. But first, I want to find out how did you even find out you had breast cancer?
Well, I was just coming out of another storm. I was just getting myself re-established from Harvey. So I was in my brand new place, in my brand new bed, and a little small voice just told me to do a self breast exam. And I know that was the voice of God today. And I did so. And upon examining my right breast, I happened upon a tangerine sized lump.
That's pretty big.
So I want to encourage you, as well as your listeners, to put that in your self care routine monthly. Do your self breast exams, they're vital to advocating for your own breast health.
I know that there are different kinds of breast cancer. Just in my research, I came up with there are about 10 major kind, and I found another four or five, that were not as common. But there are different kinds of breast cancer, and I don't think a lot of people even know that. What kind of breast cancer did you have?
I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma, and that's a type of breast cancer that goes in, it attaches your, not only to your lymph, it can move through the lymph in your system, but it also can attach itself to the lining of the breast. When diagnosed early, there's a very good prognosis to go on and live a full life. When diagnosed later, it's harder because it seems to metastasize and move on to other parts of the body. When I was diagnosed, it was at a stage 3. So that means it
Mhm.
had become somewhat aggressive. I was very fortunate to have found the lump when I did so that we can take the measures to try to fight it and have a
Mhm.
chance at living.
You mentioned metastatic cancer. Would you like to explain that? I do have an understanding, but coming from someone who was in that journey, what
Well,
exactly is metastatic breast
I
cancer?
didn't, I was not diagnosed with metastatic,
Mhm.
but the meaning of that is when it goes on to spread to other parts of your body. As I stated, it had started to get in my lymph nodes under my arm. After the MRIs and the scans, the doctors were able to notice that. And at the time of my surgery, I had a very good team. My surgeon sat there and he picked them out 33 lymph nodes that were cancerous even after chemo. So that's when the cancer spreads to other organs and goes on, and death is apparent and initial after that because it takes over everything.
Right. And those of you who may not know, when you hear of stage 4 breast cancer, stage 4 is when it is metastatic and it goes, and what it looks like you said, it's that same cancer, but it moves in your body. So it might attack your lungs and you actually have breast cancer in your lungs, not lung cancer. Because one doctor described it as something just traveling through your body and it stops here and it keeps stopping in different places. So it's cancer and it moves around freely in your body when it's at stage 4. Um, how was your how did your family react?
They were very supportive. I kind of carried that weight around for a while because I needed to know what I was going through and how I was going to handle it. But
Hmm.
once I got the information I needed, got my questions answered, I went and I told them, and we pulled together. We pulled each other closer and tighter. They asked me how I wanted to go about fighting this, and I told them I was going to fight. So their response to me was if I was fighting, they were fighting too. And we did that. It made us closer, though. The journey made us closer.
And that is good. And one of the reasons I want you on tonight to talk about being a thriver and survivor, even now, people are still afraid to talk about cancer. There are people who won't get tested when they feel a lot because they're afraid. And I'm like, well, If it is something and you don't know, it's there. If it is something and you do know, it's there. The difference is if you know it, you can treat it. If you don't know, you don't get it treated, and it can take you out because you don't know. Um, I think support systems are very important. So, other than family, did you have friends and how did they react?
I was very fortunate early in my diagnosis and treatment. I used to work for the Houston Public Library System, and I had a supervisor there, and I'm going to say her name. I know she wouldn't mind. She's a survivor as well. Her name is Cynthia Howard. So I was invited to an event one night, and she was there. And from there, she introduced me to a support group called Angels Surviving Cancer. From there, I was able to establish other members of the breast health community where I could go and gather with ladies who knew exactly what I was feeling, who thought the same things that I thought without judgment, and who can help me further walk through this journey and let me know that I was not alone, one, and two, I didn't have to die from this, that I could live.
And that support group is so important, to have that. And family can be there, but to have someone going through your same journey, that makes even, I would think, that makes for a stronger difference. And tell them the name of that organization again.
Again, that organization is called Angels Surviving Cancer. It's based here in Houston, Texas. That's where I'm from. And if you know anyone who's going through treatment, you yourself, or anyone who would benefit from a support group, look us up. We'll be glad to have you. We have monthly support meetings where we gather once a month. We get educated about different things from our finances to writing wills to how important diet and exercise is, even after treatment. We cry together, we laugh together, and we also have a yearly prayer breakfast where we get together and we give scholarships to children of women or men who have been through breast treatment. So they have to be in the 12th grade, graduating seniors, have to go through an application process, but we try to help them. Once you're going through that, that's a financial strain. It's just one less factor someone has to worry about while they're going through breast cancer treatment.
And that's a beautiful thing. It is. It's such a strain. When a person gets cancer, it's not just that person. Their family gets cancer, and by that I mean if you're a close family and you're walking through this journey with someone, it impacts the family. It just impacts everyone. But in this show, I always say that everything we do impacts our mental health. So, how did having cancer impact your mental health?
Wow, it impacted my mental health in ways from what I thought about myself, body dysmorphia after surgery, anxiety, as we were stating, the financial stress of it all. Will I be homeless after this
Mm.
because I wasn't able to work? There were a lot of factors. uh, what survivor's guilt, all those things, were factors in my mental health. But I held on to something that I read in my Bible, and it says, "As a man thinketh, so is he." So
Hmm.
I had to go in and do some self advocacy and some self help for myself and give me some scriptures to stand on. By his stripes, I am healed. Things of that nature to encourage and motivate myself to keep on going. When those negative thoughts would come in, it was very important that I counter that with something different. And that helped me to get through. It did not take it all away, no, but it helped me to get through and to feel like I had some sense of control instead of letting those outside factors
Hmm.
control me.
You said, how about that positive self-talk and what you were thinking? It is such a strong correlation, and there's studies to prove how what you say to yourself impacts you physically. Because if you walk around saying you're defeated, you have defeated yourself, and your body does heal differently. Um, years ago, I had another friend who passed away with breast cancer. But when she first found out, her oncologist asked her, um, "Do you want to live? Do you think you want to live?" And she said, "Well, yes, I do. Why would you ask me that?" He said, "Women who say, or people in general who say yes, I want to fight this. I want to live." Have a better prognosis than people who say, "I don't know." He firmly believed that attitude about it made a difference. And he said he was doing, he was really willing to do a study on it because he had informally, started asking his patients that. And he said, those who say yes, unequivocally, yeah, what do you think? As opposed to those, I don't know, because if you stay in that zone, you are fighting off the body's ability to heal as well.
And I believe that as well. I believe it's very important. I believe that every cancer patient now should have a cancer, an oncologist, a counselor as yourself, who specializes in the treatment of cancer and the healing processes, to sit down and talk with them, because it's important, as we're saying, you have to talk to yourself. I can come and talk to you all day long, Bronwyn, but if I don't have it made up in my mind and my
Mm-hmm.
soul that I'm going to be positive and I'm not going to let anything negative come into my mind, or anybody have any negative talk around me as far as my healing is concerned, I'm already defeated. So it's very important that if you know someone who's going through right now, encourage them to talk to themselves. We find our healing in different paths, in
Mm-hmm.
different ways, but find something, some type of mantra that they can say to
Mm-hmm.
themselves on a daily basis to help them battle through the fight.
And you even have to say it before you believe it.
Amen. Until you start to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Until you feel
Amen.
it takes hold. If there's that little bitty glimmer of "I think I can," you keep telling yourself. It really does help. And one of the other ways it helps mentally, it helps you manage what you're going through. When you're going through, I always say through is not a destination, it's a passageway. And so as you're in that passageway, it can look dark and you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, but you're still going through.
That's it.
But
Keep
when you
moving
keep going through, you
now.
have to be able to tell yourself there is a light down there. No, I
Come
don't
on
see it.
now.
There is a light. And that will propel you to go. It's easier to continue to go when you believe there is a light at the end of this tunnel than when you say it's just a tunnel, and I'm never going to get out. Your ability to move forward is better when you have that optimism. And so it really does make a difference. And there are studies that talk about that how important how you feel about something can make a difference. You said you were on the news hour on PBS talking about healthcare in America. Just looking at healthcare and your journey, did you have insurance? Was this easily covered and paid for, or what happened with that?
Well, that's how I got to do that interview, because I firsthand went through this journey. And in the beginning, I did not have health insurance. I worked in healthcare with no health insurance. I loved my job. I enjoyed what I did. But I just said, oh, I'm going to be all right. I take care of sick people. So I know, I'm not going to be sick. I'm going to be fine.
Mm.
And then it happened to me. It happened to me. So I was scared. I cannot lie. I
Mhm.
was initially, because I know cancer is very expensive and I did not have the money to pay for that. But I was fortunate enough to advocate for myself, to do my own research. And I found some clinics here in the Houston area, Legacy, who specializes in primary health care. From there, they sent me to the Rose, where I was able to get the scans, mammograms, ultrasounds that I needed to let me know what was going on with my body. I'm grateful for Dr. M and her staff. And from there, I went on to the Nellie B. Conley Breast Clinic at MD Anderson, and that's where I received my healing. So, as you stated, I had to go through some things. It wasn't just overnight. I had to believe that this was going to work out for my good. I had to go ahead. I'm listening.
Well, how long was that process?
At least
From
I
the
know
time you felt that lump till you got to MD Anderson?
probably 3 months. If I'm remembering correctly, I found that lump in November of 2017. I probably wasn't able to get to that clinic until January of 2018. So I had to sit with that 2 and 3 months and keep encouraging myself through the process until they told me that I could schedule my first appointment. And then from there, I went on to start my healing journey.
So, what kind of things, 3 months can seem like an eternity with this? What kind of things did you do to manage that? Talk about a mental health struggle.
Again, I kept positive. I let no negative talk come around
Mhm.
me. If you had something negative to say, you were dismissed because I was adamant and determined to get the help that I needed to live. So I didn't want to hear any of that. I was steady researching, calling those people every day, you know, has my application come through, can I get even calling MD Anderson, can I get an appointment? They helping me on their end. Well, no, Miss Parker, I'm sorry, your insurance hasn't come through yet. But I believed in my heart and in my mind that it was going to happen for me. So I kept taking the steps to advocate for myself until it did happen. So it wasn't
Mhm.
easy, but I was determined.
And self advocacy is so important. And it can be hard, though, when you're in a struggle to want to fight, but it is so important. And that goes, you can say this show looks at all aspects of life through the lens of mental health. And even though we're focusing on breast cancer, what you said, just in terms of our health in general, we have to advocate for our own health. And as Black women, we really have to. Study after study have shown that we get treated less than in our current medical environment. And just like you advocated for yourself, that's what we have to do. You saved your life by advocating for yourself. Because if you would not have done that, you wouldn't have had.
Ron, if I wouldn't have done it, who was going to do it for me? There
Mhm.
was no fairy that was going to come and take my hand and tell me, now you go do this and you go do that. I had to pray. It was under divine authority that I was able to make the moves that I did because I wasn't leaning on my own understanding. I was
Mhm.
asking for help from a higher power to guide me through this. So I didn't do it by myself. I give him
Mhm.
the glory. I give him the glory. I'm sitting here because he told me to start, where to start, and he determined how the story would end. So faithfulness is very important. You have to have faith.
So important. How was your faith, or was your faith challenged any during this journey?
I claim to have faith, Bronwyn. We all do. But it comes to the test when the rubber meets the road.
Mhm.
And I was angry with God because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and you're going to let this happen to me. His grace is sufficient, is what he
Mhm.
told me. Just
Yeah,
walk
and
with
I
me and
appreciate
trust
you.
me.
Mhm.
And I
I
can't.
appreciate you saying that you were angry with God, because a lot of people don't want to admit that. And I always say, God knows your heart. So God say, I'm mad. We need to talk because I'm not happy with you right now. Tell him. So
Exactly.
you can't fix anything you don't claim and own.
Okay.
I'm owning my anger with you. Let's talk about it. Not run away from it. We need to talk, like you said. Why you let this happen to me?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. How
That's right.
long do you think you stayed in that vein of?
I
I
couldn't
mean,
stay there long because I couldn't get anything accomplished like that. And
mm,
as you said, I knew that I was angry, I was hurt, I was disappointed, I was scared, but I was able to take those things to him. And once I did that, he lightened my load, and I was able to get up and get proactive, to get busy, to make phone calls, as you say, to be my own advocate, to make sure that I would get the healing and the treatment I needed to be sitting here having this conversation with
mhm.
you today.
And I think that's so important to understand. And that's told tonight. That's want people to hear a journey. And it can be scary, but seeing a thriver, someone who's gone through this, can help others just by seeing. And I like that you're sharing your difficulty, the insurance, the money, the faith. It impacts every part of your life. Well, so let me just go back. Something you said, you were waiting on insurance. So you were able to get insurance during that
I
time?
was fortunate enough through, again, doing my research through being connected with the Rose, that they introduced me to the Texans Healthy Women Program. And
Mhm.
through that program, I was able to obtain the insurance I need to go and get treatment. It was a wait, as you know. It was probably 30 days or more. But again, I was on their phone every day, calling them and asking them, had
Mhm.
my insurance been approved? So I had to
Mhm.
wait on it. But when I got it, I immediately got in and started the treatment that I needed.
Yeah, just understanding it is such a journey. I wanted to, we have a few minutes left. I wanted to hit on maybe a next minute or so on just the chemo. And one, I'm looking at the clock, so I won't even go through that. I'll ask you this to as we wind down, what can you say to encourage someone who maybe at the beginning of this journey?
That you're worth it, that this does not mean that you're going to die. It's not necessarily a death sentence today. Science has advanced far more than even when I had cancer back in 2018 and 2019. Increase your faith, get you a good, strong team that you believe in. Go forward and tell yourself positive things. Have positive people around you and move forward. Even on the days you don't feel like moving, you have to still encourage yourself and go ahead and do the things that you need to do to have another day. So it does not mean you're going to die necessarily. It does mean you're going to be challenged, but it doesn't mean you're going to die. And you too can make it through. I'm living proof of that. With no health insurance, I'm living proof of that.
That is a powerful thing to say. I always like to end the show with a call to action, something you do as a result of watching this show. And my call to action is this: women, get your mammogram. Men, if you got a woman in your life, your mother, your sister, your aunt, your cousin, your friend, encourage them to get their mammogram. There are a lot of free ways to get them. There are different health screenings. So if you don't know one, you can Google free breast cancer screenings, and put your zip code near whatever your zip code is to put it in that way. So find ways. I used to always end my show with vote, 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 be an educated voter. And recently I hadn't done it because I was so disenchanted with everything that's going on in Texas. I'm back on my grind. We need to stay aware, be politically aware. Your health care is governed by how we vote. So be politically aware and know what's going on. I want to thank you again, Lakeisha, for being here and being vulnerable and sharing your story because it helps so many people just to hear and it can encourage so many people. So thank you for being here and sharing and being vulnerable.
Thank you for having me, Bronwyn. I hope just one thing I said helped, hoped, as the old people used to say, or encouraged someone. Thank you
I love it.
again.
I love it.